Hey guys, what's up? My name is Vic, and this is going to be a video showcasing pretty much exactly what you read in the title. Point Blank now officially works with Oculus slash shaders, although specifically Oculus. Historically, Point Blank hasn't really worked with shaders. Most notably, a lot of people know that the animations in Point Blank don't work if you have shadows turned on, which is why a lot of people use complementary and BSL, because those two shader packs allow you to turn off shadows. But now that has been fixed, even with shadows turned on, as you can see from this footage, the animations now work. Now the patrons do have access to this update, and a lot of work has been put into these changes. This was not a trivial thing to implement, so to be perfectly honest, while we haven't run into any bugs with these changes, we are prepared to find a lot of new bugs. So if anyone is interested in getting access and helping test, that would be much appreciated. The link to the Patreon will be in the description below. Now there are a few caveats with these changes, and they're not big. They're not as compromising as turning off shadows to make animations work, but basically one thing is that while the new changes do make Point Blank work with Optifine, to my knowledge, I haven't tested it myself, my dad has. To my knowledge, it doesn't work as perfectly as it does with Iris. And that's because a lot of the changes that were made to make the shader compatibility work was made Iris specific. So caveat number one is, from here on out with Point Blank, I personally recommend using Embedium and Oculus as opposed to Optifine. So one of the biggest issues that arose with the incompatibility between shaders and Point Blank was the PIP Scopes. This has actually been fixed as well. As you can see from the footage, the PIP Scope works perfectly fine with shaders. There's no game-breaking black screen or weird, bizarre visual bugs. Although each shader pack does react a bit differently to the PIP Scope shaders, we can personally guarantee that it works perfectly fine with complementary, reimagined, and BSL. And I've also tested a few other packs as well. They pretty much work as well. Now the one caveat is that there is kind of a colorish tint you can see on the PIP Scope. This is something we haven't been able to fix, and we probably can't fix this. But basically it means that there's always going to be a tint on the PIP Scope when you use shaders, and the tint will vary depending on the shader pack you're using. So with complementary reimagined, it's going to be a little bit brownish, that sort of thing. But with other packs, for example, it might get really dark. When it does get really dark, that is when you will want to access the config file for Point Blank, in which you will find 3 new settings for adjusting the colors, the RGB color balance of the PIP Scopes when using shader packs. You will want to go to the config and increase the value of the color balance, all 3 numbers, until you get a brightness that you like. Now, I'm sure some of you are probably wondering about the performance of the PIP Scopes. They are dual rendered, so that means the screen is rendered twice, and considering that we're using shaders in this scenario, it's basically rendering all of the effects and all of the shadows twice. So far, on my machine and on my dad's machine, the performance has been pretty good, actually. My dad was able to run it at 50 FPS on a 4K monitor. 50 FPS is not very impressive, but to run that on a 4K monitor is pretty impressive. I have a more normal machine. I don't use 4K, and I've been getting 70 FPS while using a PIP Scope with shaders. And that's with complementary reimagined. It depends on the shader pack, it depends on your settings. For example, if you use a lightweight shaders, it's going to run a lot better. I was running like 170 FPS with the PIP Scopes with a different shader pack that was a lot lighter. Stuff like that. That about wraps it up for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Also, I've added a new gun called the Ballista, and it is my pride and joy, has my favorite animations I've made. I worked really hard for that. I think I cooked hard. I hope you guys think so too. But either way, see you guys next video.